Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes lead the way for the Raptors in Milwaukee. We're back. Let's go to the film room.
The only thing that's originally filmed is that and I've studied older films and tried to figure out how I got that impression. I was getting meetings right in the cutting room.
The unique thing about film is an art form
exactly.
is the editing.
So Brandon Ingram has been averaging 29 points over the last 4 games for the Toronto Raptors, and most of that is because of his elite three-point shooting in that stretch. He's knocked down 16 threes in that 4-game span, the most in a 4-game span in his career. This time, nice flare screen for him, off the catch, knocks down the 3. Time a baseline out-of-bounds play where he flares out, knocks down the catch-and-shoot 3 again. And the three-point shooting creates a lot of questions for the defense, right? Now they're forced to pick him up higher up the floor. They're forced to pressure him even more when he catches it in the three-point line area. And so as you see here, Gary Trent Jr. is pressed up against BI already, making it hard for him. And so that creates a lot of opportunities for BI to attack downhill. And all throughout this game, the Raptors did not fear this guy in the middle in Miles Turner for the Milwaukee Bucks. Both Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram attacked him relentlessly, and this time BI uses the added attention to get downhill, nice hop step, and a reverse lay. That relentlessness continued in the second half when the Raptors made it a point of emphasis to try and draw free throws. They didn't get any free throw calls or foul calls in the first half. That changed in the second half, mostly because of their approach. And so, again, the extra pressure from Bobby Portis allows Brandon Ingram to attack the slower-footed player in Portis and then just gets downhill, finishes at the basket. The defense is scrambling a bit as Scottie Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley are running a guard-guard pick and roll. And at the same time, Kevin Porter Jr. is being caught under the screen for Brandon Ingram to try and knock down a 3. And this, again, creates a lot of decisions for the Bucks defense, but it also creates a lot of options for Brandon Ingram. So at this point, again, a flare screen, if you will, for Brandon Ingram. He catches it. Kevin Porter Jr. is late to this, and he just gets downhill, nice step back, settles into the mid-range jump. And so now midway through the fourth quarter, what Brandon Ingram can provide. He can get downhill and attack the rim. He's been knocking down his threes. He's been getting to his mid-range bag. And now the Raptors want to set him up with options. And so here's one screen that's going to come for him. BI can pop out to this area of the floor if he wants to. Jacoby Walter is also here if he wants to set a second screen. And so BI can really get out to this area of the floor if he wants to. This is, in a lot of ways, it's an option screen for Brandon Ingram to do whatever he wants. And that's exactly what happens. BI uses this option screen, decides to get into the post area against the smaller Gary Harris. And now this is an opportunity for him to either score and cook or to create an advantage off of the attention that he's getting. You see Sandro Mamu wide open in that 45 extended area, and that creates a lot of opportunities too because it spaces the floor for the Bucks defense to make a ton of decisions. BI, mid-range fadeaway splash. And so, folks, the Raptors beat the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee as we welcome you inside the film room. Good to be back. Feels like I haven't talked to you guys in a little bit, especially because I was out of town for the Miami Heat game, and the Raptors have only played 2 games in 10 days. And so it feels like it's been such a long time that I haven't been able to do one of these things. Apologies for missing the Heat game. I was at the NBA Cup in Las Vegas covering it for the Athletic NBA Daily. Congrats to the New York Knicks. You guys should raise the banner. That's silly. It was a great experience. Very, very cool experience to do. Not a big Vegas guy generally, but always grateful for the opportunities to be able to cover the NBA at large. Also was grateful to cover an elite Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes game tonight where the Milwaukee Bucks, they've been stumbling lately, but I thought the Raptors really had to grind out this game for a number of reasons. One, in the first half, they weren't getting a ton of free throw calls, and so they didn't get to the free throw line at all. Not a lot of easy opportunities for them. Two, in the first half, their bench wasn't really giving them anything, and so it was Scottie Barnes, it was Brandon Ingram, it was Sandro Mamukelashvili, who started for Jakob Poeltl tonight, and it was Ochai Agbaji, who knocked down a couple of threes here and there as well. In that second half, though, things really started to turn when the Raptors locked in defensively. And again, Scottie and B.I. had their way throughout this game. B.I. with 29 points in this one. The three-point shooting has really helped him get out to some really nice scoring games over the last 4 games. But I also think he has his legs under him. You can see him attacking, getting downhill more frequently. You can see him getting to the rim more often. I think that's probably one part, the three-point shooting, giving him more space to operate and get downhill, and the second part, having fresher, more well-rested legs. This was one of those games where overall, like I said, they had to grind out because they weren't getting this full all-around game from their entire roster. But Brandon Ingram led the way, and Scottie Barnes also did as well. I want to talk about Scottie, who put out another really, really impressive performance tonight. 24 points, 11 rebounds on 10 of 14 shooting, knocked down a couple of threes himself. Scottie with another sensational game for the Raptors. He was elite, as well as Brandon Ingram was elite. So let's talk about Scottie. So I really like that the Raptors have been using Scottie Barnes more as a screener, especially recently. And this time he's the screener in this Chicago action for the Raptors. Chicago action means it is a pin down into a dribble handoff. And there's multiple options to this, right? Brandon Ingram can use this pin down, work into a dribble handoff with CMB. At the same time, if his defender, which is Gary Harris, top blocks in this situation, BI can cut back door and CMB can make this pass over top. And the other option is for Scottie Barnes to slip this screen and also cut to the basket himself. So multiple options for the Raptors in this Chicago action when Scottie Barnes is involved as a screener. The fourth option is the fact that Scottie Barnes can get a mismatch and switch onto the smaller Gary Harris. And now they have a mismatch in the post. They clear out here for Scottie to go one-on-one against Gary Harris. And while a little bit later in the possession, they're forced to reset, they go back to this post up where Scottie just goes to the baseline, settles into a mid-range jumper. I like how he's trying to attack slower, big-footed players, being more patient with himself in that mid-range area. This time he gets Jericho Sims off of his spot, drops him, and then a nice finish at the basket. Scottie has done a great job of knocking down these catch-and-shoot threes this season, and that's been a big part of his game and his increased scoring output as well. But see, in this situation, the Raptors don't get anything going. Bucks are running a zone, and then they switch into a man action. But in this possession, the Raptors don't get anything going, and it was a zone for the first half of the possession. Bucks switched to man afterwards, and so this time, Scottie Barnes just takes the bigger Bobby Portis and then settles into a mid-range jump shot. Really great job, by the way, of Scottie being able to stay square while rising up for this jumper. That is an elite part of his pull-up game. Once again, against Bobby Portis, this time, nice little in and out, gets him off of his spot, drives to the basket, and uses the over-aggressiveness of Bobby Portis to have this step through and finish. Really nice stuff there from Scottie. Now watch as Scottie as a screener creates so much attention and creates an opportunity for Ochai Agbaji here. So now, as you see, Miles Turner is the low man help, or the low man in this situation. He is going to be forced to make multiple decisions in this play. So the pick and roll happens, they get the switch, and now Miles Turner has to dig in to stop Scottie Barnes in the roll, and that creates a wide open opportunity for Ochai Agbaji in the corner here. Ochai makes them pay by knocking down the three. It's what he's supposed to do. I like these little pitch actions that they run. So a quick pitch to Scottie Barnes. They run a pick and roll. He gets a slower Bobby Portis on him and then just attacks, gets downhill, and finishes. Again, Scottie Barnes being used as a screener here, rolls to the basket, and that creates a wide open opportunity for Brandon Ingram for the three. And so Scottie was also exceptional in this game. And folks, I'm not going to lie to you, man, this has been the most I've ever been impressed with Scottie Barnes as a player. He's just putting it all together on both ends of the floor. It feels like every single night he makes multiple plays on defense that not many players in the NBA can make. At the same time, his offense, he's looking much more consistent with his approach, trying to get to the basket, looking more aggressive, attacking closeouts. And I think it's really helped him have a more refined and efficient game. Of course, Brandon Ingram's presence helps with that, right? That's why these two work so well together in tandem. Brandon Ingram is this all-around scorer who is improving as a three-point shooter, especially over the last couple of weeks, but very good mid-range scorer, a guy who can float and get into that, painted area pretty frequently. At the same time, Scottie Barnes is an elite playmaker, a guy who can create opportunities and advantages off of the tilted advantages that Brandon Ingram can create. And so it's sort of this cascading effect for the Raptors. Brandon Ingram, the scorer, the guy who seeks so much attention, and then it's Scottie Barnes who is able to create more opportunities for the Raptors off of the attention that Brandon Ingram receives. That's why those two work incredibly well together, because BI is a natural, gifted scorer who can take and make tough shots. And I think the three-point shooting ability is only going to open up more for him. And at the same time, Scottie Barnes is a guy who in 4-on-3 situations is this unbelievable passer, as well as a more refined and consistent scorer who's working as a screener, who's working as a guy who can finish in and around the basket. He's obviously elite in transition, but he's working to attack closeouts more frequently. And the fact that he himself is also knocking down a decent amount of his threes this season, it has opened up an array of options for him offensively. So the tandem of Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram has been essential for the Raptors to start this season. And when those two are humming, they can grind out wins like they did against the Milwaukee Bucks. That is the formula for the Raptors in the kind of lulls of the regular season, right? We're entering a period where post-NBA Cup, heading into trade deadline, it's sort of the moment where you can either stack up wins or injuries happen and you derail your season, or, you kind of stay afloat. And I think the Raptors can really take advantage of this next month or so of basketball if, one, they can stay healthy, and two, if they have Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes playing the way that they have so far. I think both have a case to be all-stars. I think both Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes have a case to be all-stars. I think my vote would go for Scottie Barnes just because Scottie has been sensational on defense. I think they should write his name in pen for an all-defense spot. And his playmaking has been superb as well, especially as an interior passer. He's, I believe, near the top of the league in interior passing to start this season. But Brandon Ingram's scoring has been obviously very important to what the Raptors needed in the half court. And you can see that when he went through his cold stretches, the Raptors offense struggled immensely, as well as them missing RJ Barrett. But over the last 4 games, as he's played better offensively, as the shot has fallen more, the Raptors offense looks better, much better. And so I think both of those guys have a case off as an all-star. It's going to be very interesting to see if both of them can make it. I think the fact that the Raptors are toying with a 3 or 4 seed in the Eastern Conference positions them well to potentially get 2 All-Stars. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I'm not necessarily sure, to be honest with you, but it would be cool nonetheless if both of those guys make the All-Star team. So yeah, Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes, they led the way. As I mentioned, Sandro Mamu-Kelishvili started in this one. He was really great, especially to start the game. The Raptors were on fire from 3 particularly, and Mamu took advantage. He was knocking down his threes. And again, Mamu, similar, probably different from, actually I'll say it like this. Mamu, almost by himself, is a guy who can work off of advantages other guys create. He's sort of this chameleon on offense because he can obviously knock down threes. He can attack closeouts with his dribble. He can be a guy who finishes in and around the basket. He's a heady cutter. And so he can really fill in spaces anywhere for the Raptors offense. That's why his on-off numbers are so juiced. And that's why the Raptors offense looks so much better with him on the floor, because he can really just be asked to do anything and he does. And that's why he makes sense with the starting lineup as well. Of course, they are not as good defensively with Mamu on the floor as a healthy Jakob Poeltl. And I say healthy because when he's unhealthy, the Raptors defense does not look good. And we'll see how concerning the whole back situation is for him. This is only the second game in 10 days for the Raptors, and so it is a bit concerning that Jakob Poeltl did not play in this one. Hopefully, it's just one of those things they're trying to manage, but yeah, not good, folks. Not going to lie to you. Not a good sign for the Raptors that Jakob Poeltl is missing a game like tonight. Overall, though, I wanted to highlight another player because I think we can expect the type of offensive performances from Mamu. I think Ochai Agbaji knocking down his threes tonight is what's expected. That's what he should be doing. At this point in his career, having games like he did tonight is expected of him, and he should be doing that. Again, Grady Dick also knocking down a couple of threes and doing well offensively here and there. These type of things are expected of them. They should be doing that. And Jamal Shead had a couple of nice plays. He also registered 10 assists in this one. Back-to-back games for Jamal Shead with 10 assists. He had a huge clutch three in this game, much like he did versus the Miami Heat. They closed out this game once again with Jamal Shead, and so they clearly trust him. The coaching staff trusts Jamal Shead in such a major way to, one, facilitate offense, and two, be a ball handler beside Emmanuel Quickley, especially in clutch moments. That's a huge testament to how much they trust Jamal Shead, and it's a huge testament to how much he's been able to win his minutes. That has been the most impressive part of Jamal Shead overall. He was +2 tonight, and I think he's just done a great job of being able to facilitate winning for this Raptors team in a major way. The guy I wanted to talk about, because all those other guys are kind of expected, right? You know what you're going to get. With rookie Collin Murray-Boyles, it's a bit of a different story because he's really coming into his own. I thought he had his best game of the season versus the Miami Heat. Kind of jealous that I wasn't able to break that down for you guys, but I also thought he had a really important stretch in this game where the Raptors were able to extend their lead to 10 points, and it was CMB's defense that allowed them to do that. Just want to highlight, it's a really good sign that CMB is able to knock down these 45 extended jump shots. If he continues to do that, that is a big win for the Raptors overall. These are the type of defensive plays that I'm talking about. So here, Ryan Rollins attacks, and watch how he stunts this driving lane and is able to recover to Bobby Portis and contest this shot. Magneto using his hands to claw this ball away from Ryan Rollins. Raptors are out and running. He got called for a foul here, and the Raptors challenged it. I think it was a foul on Mamu, but a really nice contest and reaction time for CMB here to try and contest this shot. I like how he's able to recognize that Grady Dick is going to get beat off the spot here, and so he steps up to contest his shot from Gary Harris and is able to corral the rebound. And so those were a few nice plays from Collin Murray-Boyles, and I hope we get a big game from CMB again. He's really starting to figure things out, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I would like to see more from him offensively, especially as a driver, where he can attack closeouts and use his handle more frequently. But I think that will come with time. And time is something that he will have the luxury of having. I think there's just going to be a lot of leeway for CMB. One, because of positional need for the Raptors. They need another guy who can be this sort of pseudo 5 for them. And two, he's such a special defender already that he's going to work his way into the rotation regardless. There's just going to be opportunities for him because of how talented of a defender he is. So yeah, good game from CMB. And I thought, like, overall, this was an ugly one from the Raptors, but they were able to grind it out. They were able to kind of like rely. It was very similar to the Heat game, By the way, just to say, I watched the Heat game. I watched it twice because I wanted to really get a good idea of it. It was a very similar game to the Heat game where the Raptors had to grind it out. It got ugly. There were moments where their offense kind of grinded to a halt, especially in that fourth quarter. But a combination of good defense and a couple of timely shots here and there, and the Raptors win by, what did they win by? They won by 7 or 6 in this game. It was very similar, where they had to grind it out. They had to figure out how to beat this team. And, Brandon Ingram was sensational. Scottie Barnes was sensational. Those are two guys that had big games against Miami. And I think the moving kind of target for this Raptors team is how they can all look healthy and good together. Can Jakob Poeltl put up a healthy season moving forward? Can Immanuel Quickley, who, by the way, sucked tonight, was not good tonight. Immanuel Quickley really had a bad game, struggled in this one. Had a couple of clutch buckets in the fourth quarter. Like I mentioned, just the piecemeal buckets here and there. But Immanuel Quickley was really, really bad in this game. Didn't get anything from him tonight. He had this one lob to Scottie Barnes, and I'm pretty sure that was the first time I've ever seen him throw a pick and roll lob. I was like, wow, that would be great if he could do that all the time. But overall, not a good Immanuel Quickley game. And so the question I have for this Raptors team overall is, can you put it all together with everybody? Can you have it so that Jakob Poeltl can be healthy and have a solid second half to a season? Can Immanuel Quickley have good games when Jakob Poeltl is not healthy? And can Immanuel Quickley have good games when Jakob Poeltl is healthy? Because Immanuel Quickley, his numbers with and without Jakob Poeltl, the efficiency is huge. It's a major difference for him. And overall, how much can this supporting cast uplift the really, really good seasons that Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes are both having? That's the question moving forward for this Raptors team. I know over the next couple of months, we are going to be enthralled with trade talk, as we should. The Raptors are going to be in a lot of trade discussions, big and small, because of the salaries that they have, because they have all of their picks available to them, because they are probably over exceeding expectations. And so most people assume that a team that is doing better than they thought is going to go out and try and make a trade and give themselves more of a chance in the playoffs this year, especially in an open Eastern Conference. I probably think that's true. I think they do make a trade or two. At the very least, they're going to make a trade to get under the tax. There will be a lot of trade discussion. We will see how that trade discussion transpires, and we'll see how big or small those trades will be for the Toronto Raptors. But as things currently stand, this Raptors team, one, needs to get a healthy Jakob Poeltl, and two, hopefully can pull out a stretch over this next 2 or 3 weeks where they can really position themselves in the Eastern Conference. That is the big question moving forward for this Raptors team. The competition isn't getting any easier. They have a tough stretch to end 2025. I'm very curious to see how they pull it out. It's going to be a challenge, but I think it's a challenge they're ready for. I think they're starting to figure out who they are. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but they look good, folks. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you tune into Raptors Republic. We appreciate you guys as always. Sorry if I'm a little rusty, dusting off the cobwebs for these recaps. We'll be back in action in no time. I promise you guys on that. Thank you very much. I will see you guys later. Peace out.